Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. If you have not heard, TRAPTRIX are back. There is a structure deck coming. The OCG is getting it in less than 2 months. We, in the TCG, are going to be getting it in, I think, around 4.5 months. So, still not that far away. It's a little bit ways, but, it could be worse. But it's coming. We have the first wave of support that was revealed earlier this week. 4 new cards. If you have not seen those, I'll go a brief overview of those real quick. And then we're going to be talking about what else I want to see in the structure deck, because this is assuredly not all of the new cards. So, we'll talk about what they got, what they didn't get / like what I kind of want them to get, what would be really, really good for the archetype. And then lastly, I'll talk about what I think they're going to get, like kind of like what's likely, what's not likely, that kind of thing. Or I guess we'll kind of sprinkle it in there in between. But yeah, you're really hyped. Let me know in the comment section down below just your thoughts about TRAPTRIX. Do you love the new support? How good do you think they could or will be post structure deck here? Because this could be huge. I mean, this could put them back on the map as far as either a really high-level rogue deck or maybe even like a legit tier 2 deck. I doubt they'd ever make it to tier 1. It is still a trap deck at the end of the day, but still it could be a very respected deck nonetheless. So let's jump into this thing. Starting off here with the cards we already know about. We've got TRAPTRIX Pinguicula, new rank 4. It searches a TRAPTRIX monster for you. Very, very good. And it also has a really cool disruption effect that punishes your opponent for sending stuff to grave or banishing stuff by card effect. Really cool. Next up, we have TRAPTRIX Arachnocampa, a really amazing extender. This is the standout card to me out of the first few cards revealed. It's a quick effect to summon itself. Really awesome extender that TRAPTRIX have always yearned for. It makes Mantis way, way better. And it also protects your back row. Very, very huge for the deck. Next up, Delusion Trap Hole. You knew we were going to get at least one new Trap Hole. It's a pretty cool card. It can like pop a monster on the field and banish a monster from your opponent's graveyard. So kind of does double work there. Could be a double interruption, whereas most of the other Trap Holes are just 1-for-1s a lot of the time. That's pretty nice. That's a pretty nice addition there. And it can activate at any point, so it's not necessarily just a trigger effect like the rest of the Trap Holes either. So there's definitely some pluses there. Could easily be a 1-of in the deck. And then we also got a new Link 3. I talked about the Link 3 before, like theory, if we got a Link 3. I want it to be more powerful than this. I still don't think this is a bad card. I think it'll still be played because it really does help you just like clean up board states, clear a bunch of monsters off the field because it buffs your whole field by 1,000. And it can just negate multiple cards and destroy one a lot of the time. And still pretty solid. It does make your board like better, and it lets you apply more pressure on the follow-up, which TRAPTRIX has never been great at. So there's the 4 new cards. I think they're solid. I think this card's okay, and I think this is amazing, and I think this one's pretty good. That's kind of where I land on those, but let's get into this. So starting off in the different facets of where the deck could get support, we'll start with main deck monsters. If I could get 2 main deck monsters, I'll talk about the types that I would want. So I also potentially talked about like a main deck boss monster, high level monster that maybe has like a, banish 1 or 2 TRAPTRIX monsters from grave to summon it, and it has an interruption effect. But to be honest, if we got a new main deck boss monster that was like that good, it'd be on the cover. And we already know the 2 monsters on the cover. It's Pinguicula and a Typus. So I really think there's a low chance we get like an actual main deck boss monster. But we could get more main deck monsters, period. So the first one would be something Moral Tack-esque. And pretty much what that is just based on its effects. Like when it's summoned like on the opponent's turn, you can destroy 1 face-up card your opponent controls. That's kind of what I'd like to see here. It could just be monster. It could be, whatever. Destroy a face-up. It could be destroy a monster because we already have Mermelio that pops any spell or trap. So you get another card that way. But pretty much what I'm looking for here is a way to like actually turn Sarah's effect into an interruption. Like technically Mermelio is an interruption, but it's only on spell and traps. That's not great in, forget most, but like, or forget some, but even like most matchups, it's just not amazing in, especially if they're just trying to barrel through your board. Plus, one of the biggest weaknesses in TRAPTRIX is that your opponent can a lot of times just go normal summon, attack over your monster. This gives us another way to just clear a monster off the field and keeps them from just going battle and running over Sarah and just completely like turning off our grind game, right? We definitely don't want that. So maybe a card like this that's kind of like Mermelio-esque but pops a monster instead of a spell or trap, and then maybe has an okay other effect. Doesn't have to be amazing, but just something would be cool. The other thing I also theorized was like, what if it was an interruption like, how Rafflesia sends a trapped hole from the deck to copy its effects. What if we got a main deck monster that could quick effect banish a trap hole from grave to copy its effects? That way, that would be another monster we could summon off of Sarah, and then have like another interruption to be able to use another like trap hole effect once we've already gotten one in grave. Takes a little bit of setup. It's a little bit fair. Maybe it doesn't like it's a like not a great draw, whatever, but it'd give more power to the deck. That could be something that could be pretty cool. But an interruptive monster, ideally, for the main deck would be really cool. Secondly, another extender. I wouldn't be mad. I'm expecting us to get one more monster, at least. I think that just makes sense. You're going to have a structure with one main deck monster. That just seems weird. If we got another extender, I'd be totally cool with that. I'm kind of thinking of how, like, Marine Cess works. They have, like, they already had stuff like, what's her face? Seahorse, who just kind of jumped on the field if you control TRAPTRIX stuff, right? But then they also got the new girl, the Spring Girl, and she just essentially is Chaos Valkyria, right? Like, just banish an archetypal card, so banish a TRAPTRIX monster from grave, summon it from hand. It gives us another way to like play through interruption, especially if they like clear our board, send everything to grave. We can still just go banish one to summon, make Sarah, set a trap, and like you still like kind of got a setup out of it. That'd be really cool, and I think it's like worthwhile, especially since you make Sarah early a lot of times anyway. So that would be pretty cool if we got another extender. I think I'd want it to work differently than the other one, but still be good. But that's what I'm thinking for main deck monsters. Now the next one, really interesting, spells. You wouldn't expect spells to be that interesting in TRAPTRIX because we really don't have any. There's like none, literally none. But there's two cards in particular that I think could be absolutely crazy for TRAPTRIX. The first one would be Amazing Time Ticket, but for TRAPTRIX. And I think for a lot of this, it's so hard to like just come up with your own never made before cards. So I think it's easier for me to look at these cards that already exist, be like, that would work so well in this other archetype. So that's what I'm doing, and like, theorizing. So Amazing Time Ticket. This card is a quick play searcher, and it's cool because it does a different thing depending on if you're using it on your opponent's turn or yours. If you use it on your turn, it searches an amazement card. In this situation, you'd be searching a TRAPTRIX monster. But if you use it on your opponent's turn, it sets an attraction trap. And in this instance, we would be setting a trap hole, and it can be activated that turn. So you could even see what your opponent's playing, what line of play they're taking, what trap hole you think is the best for any given scenario, and then set it from deck when you're ready. I think that's really cool because a lot of times you just search the trap hole that you think applies to the most situations. So Grave Diggers in a lot of instances, maybe Floodgate. But if you wanted to play one or two more specific trap holes, this one will give you easier access to kind of getting them for the specific scenarios that they are really good in. It's really cool. So I like it. It helps us, and it also helps you like bring down potentially the number of TRAPTRIX monsters you play in the main because you'd be able to search them out, which is cool. There's definitely just some really cool application here, and I think it helped with consistency. It helped with flexibility at times, getting the right trap holes when you need them, the right monsters when you want them, and not just being stuck with, the only monster I drew was, Dianea. I guess I have to just normal summon and make Sarah. If you drew this card instead of Dianea, it was, just an actual better starter. So, really cool. And the other one would be Cyberdark Realm. This card is crazy. So this is a Cyberdark card that came out in their structure deck like a year or two ago. On activation, it searches a Cyberdark monster. Obviously for us, we would be searching a TRAPTRIX monster. Next, during the main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a Cyberdark monster. And that's really the part that like makes this card crazy. I mean, the search is amazing too. It's great consistency for the same reason that like this is great. Is it kind of just gets you whatever monster you want, not just, I drew one of the lackluster ones. Fine. It's just better to draw this. But then the fact that you get an additional normal summon is crazy. Now, there are some worries I have with this. Mantis is insane. So Mantis is not a once per turn on its normal summon effect. So it can also search itself. So you could go activate Realm, search Mantis, normal Mantis, search another Mantis, get additional normal for the second Mantis, and search again. So you do go crazy plus, but TRAPTRIX are pretty far behind, and they're also fairly slow as far as, we're concerned. So maybe there is some room for that. But outside of these, I don't really see another great way that like spells would be crazy good in the deck. But these would be absolutely crazy if we got either of these, but in TRAPTRIX form. Next up, moving to the traps. Yeah, Shade Brigadine. We've talked about this. This is probably the number one card we could and will hope to get. If we got a card that literally was like Shade Brigadine, but said hole in the text or in the name, so that way it's searchable off Myrmelio, it's settable off of Sarah, right? All that stuff. And yeah, just summoned a, you know, an insect or a plant instead of that, kept it level 4, and maybe it just said, like, instead of you can't have a trap engrave, but maybe said, like, if you control a TRAPTRIX monster, you can activate it the turn it's set. Card would be insane. It would make Myrmelio a crazy better starter than it is now. And it would be so amazing. Like, if we got this, we might not even need an actual, like, new monster extender, like, at all. So yeah, this card would be crazy. It's probably the single one card I would want more than anything else. So yeah. And the last thing I'll mention here is a trap essentially akin to Welcome Labyrinth or any of the other cards that are kind of like this. Summon out your archetypal monster from the deck, but it's a normal trap. Go from there. The idea with this is I'd want it to have hole in the name, and it gives us a way for just our searching a trap hole to get us access to our monster interruptions. And just more into just our monster side of the deck in general. Because sometimes if you draw too many trap holes, if you draw too many whatevers, and too many traps and some of your, you know, generic traps, you don't find your monsters. You don't actually get enough board presence going. You're just kind of trying to keep your opponent at bay until you find something. And if you don't, you could be in trouble very quickly. And so the idea here is, like, one in particular, if we also got the Moraltach card, like the TRAPTRIX monster that was akin to Moraltach, this card would be so good because not only would it be a card that gets us, like, into more of our engine, but it can also just be an interruption. So it could also just be a good card to set, period. Just get off of your Sarah, get off of your Myrmelio if it had a hole in the name, gets you a monster, gets you more bodies on the field, and gets you interruption at the same time, or could get you follow-up if you wanted, you know, and stuff like that. So there's so much flexibility with a card like this. You could summon out the new extender because she protects back row, and you could chain this to something like a Lightning Storm or a Harpy's Feather Duster and end up protecting the rest of your back row. If you need a pop, you could summon your Moraltach guy. If you need a spell and trap removal, summon the Mantis, right? There's a lot of different applications, really, for summoning this card or for using this card. So I think this would be a spicy one, a really spicy addition to the trap hole lineup. And yeah, I'd like to see it. I think this would pair really, really nicely. Like, I would definitely question it if we didn't get an interruption-esque, you know, monster as well, because you're getting a lot of utility, but you're not getting as much. You're not getting interruption, and we all know if you don't interrupt your opponent, doesn't matter how good your setup is, if it's not interrupting your opponent, because just meta decks will barrel through anything if they're not interrupted. So you got to find something there. But other than that, I think it's pretty cool. I like these ideas a lot. The last thing I'll end on, I have no extra deck talks here for you at all. Here's the thing. We have 2 extra deck monsters on the cover. We've already had them both revealed. If there's another extra deck monster, it means they're not as impressive as these cards because these cards made the cover. It's kind of my same argument for if they had gotten a main deck boss monster, it probably would have made it on the cover art. I doubt there's going to be another extra deck monster, but we're only 4 cards in. My understanding and my expectation here going forward is there's probably going to be 1 or 2 more monsters in the main deck, 1 more trap probably, and then, like, maybe a spell. And that's, like, the absolute high end. Like, if absolute max we get 8 new cards. That's what they've been doing for the structure deck R's, but I know that's a different series technically from regular structure decks. So I think we're more so looking at 6 or 7 cards. I think 5's probably not enough. So I'm expecting definitely 1 more monster, definitely 1 more trap, and then potentially, depending on how many more cards we have to go, another monster or a spell. I think the spell is definitely not super likely, but I just definitely think it works, and it would help with the speed of TRAPTRIX for sure. But still have them feel like a trap deck. Everything's still going through the traps. It'd be another nice consistency piece to help you get to the right traps, the right monsters when you want to, stuff like that. So yeah, those are my thoughts there. Hopefully everything made sense. If it didn't, let me know I'm a fool down in the comment section below. I want to know your thoughts, though. What else do you want to see? What are you excited for? I am so pumped. I'm absolutely playing this deck when the structure deck comes out. I'll probably be testing it prior to that as well. I cannot wait. I'm very, very excited. So let me know all your thoughts on that. I'm out of here for today. Subscribe if you have not yet and you want to see more stuff from your boy down the line. And I'll catch you in the next video.